The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Once, upon a midnight's dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some late-night visitor," this I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December. In each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly had I sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow for the lost Lenore, the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I was scarce was sure I heard you." Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, with all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see, then, what that is. What thereat is, and this mystery we shall explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery we will explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven from the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched above a burst of palace, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this bonny bird beguiled my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. Though thy crest be sure and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven, wandering the night's plutonium shore. Tell me, what thy lordly name is on the night's plutonium shore? Quoth the raven, nevermore. Much I marvelled at this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevance bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the palace bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, nevermore. Stately at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, doubtless, said I, what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, uncaught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hopes that melancholy burden bore of nevermore. But the raven, still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of the bird, a bust and chamber door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking, what is this ominous bird of yore? What this grim, ungainly ghastly gain an ominous bird of yore meant in croaking nevermore? This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushioned velvet lining of the lamp light goated o'er, but whose violet lining, with the lamplight goading o'er, she shall press on nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by statter femme, whose footfalls twinkled in the tuffled floor. Wretch! I cried, thy God hath let thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite, never thine, from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, this kind of Nethine, and forgotten this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, I said, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, when the tempter sent, or whether tempest tossed thee ashore, desolate yet, all undaunted, this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me, truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, I said, thing of evil, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, within the distance a Daden, if thou shalt clasp with Satan maiden, whom's angels named Lenore, clasp, O rare in radiant Aden, whom angels named Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign in parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting. Get thy back into the tempest of the night's Plutonian shore. Leave thy black plume as a token of lie, that thy lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flinting, still sitting, still is sitting. And the raven, never flinting, still is sitting on a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming. And the lamplight o'er him streaming through his shadow on the floor. And my soul, from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor, shall be lifted nevermore. Thee.